Welcome to the deep dive. Today, we're really zeroing in on something absolutely fundamental to any company. Its business model.
hmm
You sent over a great set of articles looking at all sorts of angles from these big, broad strategies down to the nuts and bolts of specific ways companies operate.
Yeah, it's a really interesting mix.
So our mission today is to kind of unpack all these insights, give you a clearer map of the landscape, maybe spark a few of those aha moments along the way.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And we've got some diverse sources to draw from. There's Invest in Asia, which laid out, I think, 15 different
Yeah,
types.
a big list.
And Forbes highlighted 8 they think are particularly lucrative for entrepreneurs right now.
Okay.
Then we have some deeper dives. DeckTel looks closely at the subscription model, pros and cons. Big Commerce explains affiliate marketing.
Right.
Emerald Insight introduces this concept. SBMI, Sustainable Business Model Innovation. We'll definitely need to unpack that acronym.
Definitely. SBMI. Got it.
And River Publishers makes a point about needing a sort of common language for all this, plus OptumRoot on direct-to-consumer or DTC,
Mm.
and Discara on making service businesses profitable. So, yeah, lots to cover.
Okay, sounds like a good spread. So let's maybe start right at the beginning. What exactly is a business model? I mean, it feels obvious, but Invest in Asia and Forbes suggested it's, well, more than just how you make money.
That's absolutely right. They both really stress that it's the fundamental logic of how a company actually works. Think of it as the blueprint.
A blueprint.
Yeah,
Okay.
of how it creates value, how it delivers that value to customers, and then how it captures some of that value back, usually as revenue. It covers everything from the offerings, the target market, key operations like supply chains, customer relationships, the whole engine.
And that point from River Publishers about a common framework, a shared language,
Mhm.
that seems important if we're all talking about slightly different things using the same term.
It really is.
Yeah.
Having a more standardized way to talk about and analyze business models would be hugely beneficial, not just for academics studying this stuff, but for businesses themselves trying to innovate or just understand their own operations better.
Makes sense. So let's get into some of the specific types that Invest in Asia and Forbes mapped out. E-commerce is probably the most familiar one for many people. Selling online, Amazon, eBay.
Right. Operating entirely online.
Yeah.
But it's evolved so much, hasn't it? It's not just a digital catalog anymore.
No, definitely not. What's a key shift you see there?
Well, I think it's the focus on experience, trying to replicate or even improve on the physical store experience online. Think about like virtual try-on tools for clothes or highly personalized recommendations based on your past behavior. It's about making that digital storefront really engaging.
Yeah, much more interactive. Then there's the subscription model. Huge now. Netflix, Spotify, you pay a regular fee for access. Decta really dug into this one.
They did. It's fascinating because it seems simple, but there are real trade-offs. The pros are pretty clear. Predictable income for the business, potentially stronger customer relationships.
And convenience for the customer, maybe even savings sometimes.
True. But Decta also highlights the downsides. The big one is churn risk. Customers can leave easily.
Yeah, that cancel button is always just a click away. How does that constant threat of churn change how these companies have to think compared to, say, selling a physical product once?
Oh, it fundamentally changes things. You can't just make the sale and move on. You have to constantly prove your value month after month or year after year.
Right.
It forces a much deeper focus on customer retention,
Yeah.
on engagement, on continuously improving the service or content to keep people locked in. It's about building a long-term relationship, not just a transaction.
So it's an ongoing effort. What about peer-to-peer? Or CDC, consumer to consumer, Uber, Airbnb, Etsy even. The platform connects individuals directly.
Exactly. The platform facilitates the exchange.
Mm-hmm.
The big advantage there is often the network effect. The more users you have, the more valuable the platform becomes for everyone.
But what are the challenges as they scale up? It can't all be smooth sailing.
No, definitely not.
Yeah.
A huge challenge, especially as they grow, is maintaining trust and safety. How do you ensure quality? How do you
Yeah.
handle disputes between users? How do you prevent bad actors from exploiting the platform? Building those governance mechanisms is really complex but crucial.
Yeah, I can see that. Okay, next up, freemium. We see this everywhere. Dropbox, LinkedIn, Spotify does this too. Basic service is free, pay for more features.
It's a popular model for user acquisition.
Mm-hmm.
Get a lot of people using the basic version.
And hope some of them upgrade. What's the secret sauce there? How do you actually convince free users to open their wallets?
It's a delicate balance, really. The free version has to be genuinely useful, good enough to attract and keep a large user base. But crucially, The premium features need to offer significant, tangible value, solving a real pain point, offering much greater capacity, or unlocking efficiency gains that a subset of users are willing to pay for.
So useful, but not too useful.
Kind of, yeah. You need to understand where that tipping point is, where the limitations of the free tier start to frustrate certain users enough that the premium version looks really attractive.
Gotcha. Okay, let's switch gears slightly to direct consumer. DTC. Optima Root's piece focused on this. This is selling directly online, cutting out the usual retail middlemen, right? Like buying direct from the brand's website instead of a department store.
Precisely. Think Warby Parker for glasses, or Casper for mattresses, initially at least. Optima Root points out it gives brands much more control over the customer experience, the brand message.
And potentially higher profit margins too, I suppose.
Potentially, yes, since you're not sharing the cut with retailers or wholesalers. But Optima Root also stresses how vital a strong brand narrative is for DTC success.
Why is the story so important there?
Well, because you don't have the validation of being on a major retailer's shelf. You have to build trust and connection directly with the consumer. Often, this involves connecting on values, maybe sustainability, or the founder's story, the why behind the brand. Authenticity is key.
That makes sense. They also mentioned starting with a limited product selection. Why is that advised for DTC? Seems counterintuitive, maybe.
It might seem so, but it allows a new DTC brand to really focus. Focus its marketing message, perfect its product quality, streamline its operations, and, importantly, its shipping and delivery, which Optima Root notes are critical for DTC. Get those things right with a smaller offering first, build momentum, then expand. Nail the basics before scaling complexity.
Right, walk before you run. Okay, now this concept from Emerald Insight. Sustainable Business Model Innovation, SBMI. That sounds important, but maybe a bit abstract.
It can sound abstract, but the core idea is pretty straightforward. It's about intentionally modifying your business model, how you create, deliver, and capture value to generate positive environmental and social impacts, or at least reduce the negative ones. Think aligning with the Sustainable Development Goals, the SDGs.
So it's more than just, like, donating a percentage of profits or using recycled packaging.
Much more. It's about integrating sustainability into the core logic of the business. Emerald Insight talks about innovating across the whole model. The value proposition itself, what you offer, aligning it with sustainability, value creation and delivery, how you make it, sourcing, labor practices, customer impact, and value capture. Measuring success not just economically, but also environmentally and socially, the triple bottom line.
Can you give a practical example?
Sure. Think about a company like Patagonia. Their Worn Wear program, where they repair and resell used gear, isn't just a side project. It's becoming integral to their model. It changes their relationship with products from just selling new things to extending the life of existing ones. That's a shift in the core business logic towards sustainability. Or Interface, the carpet company, shifting to carpet as a service and focusing on recycling.
Okay, that makes it clear. It's a fundamental rethink. We've definitely covered a lot of different models here: e-commerce, subscriptions, P2P, DTC, SBMI. Looking across all of them, is there a common thread you see in the ones that really succeed?
That's a great question. I think underlying many successful models is a really deep, almost obsessive understanding of the customer and a relentless focus on delivering value as defined by that customer.
Yeah.
Whether it's the sheer convenience of Amazon, the curated content of Netflix, the direct connection of a DTC brand, or the alignment with values offered by a sustainable model. The businesses that win tend to be the ones that truly get what their customers need or desire and then architect their entire operation around delivering that exceptionally well.
That customer centricity seems key. Well, this has been a really insightful journey through the world of business models. Hopefully you listening now have a sharper picture of how different companies tick, how they create value, how they capture it.
Yeah, and maybe it sparks some thinking about how these models aren't always static either. They blend, they
Yeah.
evolve.
Exactly. So maybe some final food for thought for you. Thinking about the sustainability push we discussed, which traditional business models do you see facing the most pressure to adapt or innovate? Where's the urgency highest?
It's interesting.
And looking ahead with the rise of, say, the creator economy, decentralized platforms, AI, what kind of completely new business models might emerge that we haven't even properly conceived of yet? It feels like this space is constantly shifting.
It absolutely is. This deep dive is really just scratching the surface. There's always more innovation happening, more to learn.